Here it comes, coming at you very soon.
I've got a half-life ticking and EKG readings that are beating the shore to dust. I've got a smartphone crystal ball, touch screen and all, but the screen won't touch. And it's this analog melody stuck in my head, and it's driving me insane, cause I got this chronic condition that'll suffer no remission, and I'm feeling that I ain't got time. Oh yeah, yeah. Show me an android heart, an AI mind, and a spirit in the machine. Show me an optimistic and futuristic prognosis and what it means. Help me to see the future between the sutures. Will it be good or bad, or will we recognize a thing when we all pull the pinball and resemble what we have? It's a singularity. Yeah, it's a singularity. Beyond a bed horizon, will we wisen up or find a kind of glory? What's the story of the singularity?
What you hear is not a test, it's a singularity. A risk thing, isn't it? To envision it, or does the future look rather dissonant? Robot style, but what about later? Will it be like Terminator? Or are we headed for utopia? Well, follow me and I'll show ya.
Voices from every field across the world are coming to ya. Attend the class or watch from home, it's coming to ya. Kim Solez has the contacts and he's bringing them to ya. It's coming to ya, the future's coming to ya. So come to the future.
Technology and the future of medicine. LABMP 590.
Okay, so that is the Singularity song created by Joel Crichton in 2012. He is a comedian, playwright who had a play at the Fringe called 25 that he wrote when he was 24. And I attended his play and was mesmerized by it, and decided it would be really cool, since I was starting this course, for him to actually take the course and for us to work out some way for him to create a song about the course. So that is how the song came about. So now, wow, okay. So you see, this now is the slide from today's lecture that refers to the song. Yeah, of course, there's just one before that, which is the title. You wouldn't want to never see the title. So this is the title slide for today's presentation, The Technological Singularity Explained and Promoted. Now, today's presentation has a lot of ups and downs. So I've talked about Marcus Hutter. You'll probably actually meet him toward the end of the course. And some of you may actually have already watched his audio plus PowerPoint that I sent to you. And the slides are very dark. And Jonathan Schaefer, the former Dean of Science, said that PowerPoint is the most intellectually difficult slides that he's ever seen. Can't imagine how students can make sense of it. And of course, the reason for that is not that like you don't understand the words and so on, but almost every slide has an aggregate concept that you can't quite wrap your head around. And it just gets darker and darker as you head deeper and deeper into this world of Marcus Hutter and whether intelligence can explode. Okay, so if I just left you there, that would be cruel and unusual punishment. So the second half of the lecture, we're going to talk about fun stuff like Future Day, what we're going to do for Future Day, and the other part of the course. So Future Day is March 1st, but this year, as I said last time, we're going to celebrate it on February 29th. You know, February 29th doesn't happen all that often, so it's sort of a leap year day. Yeah, so that'll be cool. But the other semester that doesn't have March in it, we celebrate either Diversity Day or Longevity Day, so we'll also talk about that. But anyway, end up with a kind of light note. So the objectives of this lecture are to understand the history of the singularity, Marcus Hutter's main ideas about it. So I've taken his slides and lightened them up a bit, and I think I give more positive spin to his slides. Understand the challenge of promoting the singularity and the idea behind Future Day and Longevity Day or Diversity Day. So do not fear complexity. Your significant other is complex. You yourself are. You know, there's beauty in complexity. The real world is complex. You may know this word equipoise, which in ethical discussions, I don't know if you knew how Canadian that word is, but a lot of people who talk about ethics in other countries never use equipoise. So every time you use that word, you can be so proud of being a Canadian ethicist. Yeah. So perfect quadruple think with equipoise, seemingly contradictory ideas can all be true. You can find a balance between them. The future of transplantation, for instance, is promotion of xenotransplantation, deceased donor donation, until there are no waiting lists, tolerance, tissue engineering, repair, stem cell creation, new organs, all those things are the way we can end the organ shortage, right? So it's not bad to deal with complexity. If we're going to improve the world is complex, so we have to not be afraid of it. Peter Diamandis, who is the CEO of the X Prize at Singularity University, where I took the 9-day executive course in 2010 that led to my creating this course, says when faced with a choice between two desirable goals, choose both. Do them both. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I have often struggled with, given the diversity of the students taking this course, they can be any age, any background, any faculty, so what kind of metaphor would they all understand? And I figured probably everybody's heard of Alice in Wonderland. So in Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, a world is confronted that it's much more organic than expected. Yeah, the croquet ball is alive, and the mallet is alive, and everything's alive, right? The main difficulty Alice had was in managing her flamingo, which is the mallet in the croquet game. So we, all of us, potentially face the exact opposite of that, which is a world that doesn't need biology, doesn't need us, that maybe could be better without us, right? And so in the technological singularity, we face a world that's much less organic than expected, could develop without us. And so I guess the main purpose of this course is to make sure that doesn't happen, right? To instill in each one of you the will for humanity to survive and for biology to remain important. You know, the last time I talked together with Rich Sutton, he was talking also about a designed world. I mean, right now, every time two biological creatures mate, there's that uncertainty of what the outcome is going to be. I mean, we don't know. Is the offspring going to be better than the parents or worse? Or, there's no guarantee. In a design world, you wouldn't have to worry about that. You'd have a plan and you'd be marching ahead and every step in the design would be better and so on, but it also sounds like it wouldn't be any fun at all, right? So anyway, yeah, so these are interesting things to ponder. The other thing that Rich brought up that surprised me quite a lot, and you can watch me being surprised, is the idea of a completely automatic world, right? Why do you need somebody in charge of this future? Why couldn't it be completely automatic? So what would that mean? That the world is perfect, that if you don't like it, something wrong with you, right? So, you don't need anybody to complain to. You just need to get over it if you don't like the world, right? Somehow that doesn't seem like a very good outcome to me. I would like somebody that you could still talk to about how things are set up. So, in the midterm, there's a question about this stuff I'm about to tell you about right now. There's three main schools of belief about the singularity: accelerating change, the event horizon, and the analogy with black holes, and intelligence explosion, which is what Marcus Hutter talks about in his PowerPoint. And then there are four main paths: create an artificial intelligence that exceeds human intelligence, build human-computer interfaces that allow humans to go beyond their innate intelligence to a significant extent, so-called cybernetic singularity, find ways in biology to improve upon natural human intellect. It seems like that would probably be slow, but as I pointed out, in my understanding of Canva, I made enormous progress between 2023 and 2024. So maybe there are instances where biology can actually be improved. Dr. Solez can actually understand where the undo button in Canva is, and then he's comfortable with things. And fourth, build large computer networks in which beyond human intelligence emerges. You wake up in the morning, turn on the internet, and it starts talking to you, and you realize it knows everything about you and way more about anything and everybody than anyone you know or have ever met. Yeah, that could happen. So all these different variations on the belief in the singularity are reflected in the courses at Singularity University. And so I benefited a great deal, not only from going there and taking that executive course, but from being an outlier. I stuck out like a sore thumb in every gathering there. I was the only academic, the only physician. Yeah, there were like tech entrepreneurs, government officials, all sorts of people from other walks of life. There was nobody like me. And that actually has turned out quite well. I think it gave me a significant advantage, and I met people there that I've stayed in contact with, so the experience has just grown and grown since February, March 2010 when I took that course. Now I had the idea that there should be a course like this, and I was kind of looking for somebody to create such a course, and I realized maybe that someone was me. Yeah. So here is a picture of our class. You can see me sticking out like a sore thumb there. Yeah. So Ray Kurzweil, who is the founder of Singularity University, has been honored by 4 different U.S. presidents. He created a way for blind people to create music using keyboards. He has his own keyboard named after him. Just a very, very creative guy. And so his views and intellectual exploration are as broad as that of the university he founded. When you hear somebody criticizing him, arguing that he holds narrow, rigid views, realize that's not the case at all. He spends most of his time reacting to questions that people send him about his books. You know, that's his life. And his answers usually can considerably add to the knowledge base of whoever sent him the question. So, yeah, and any of you, he's not surrounded by, you know, security. He's just an ordinary person like you. You can write to him, he'll write back. That's the deal. Okay, let's talk about the longer history of the Singularity. It goes back to the year 1847, where R. Thornton, the editor of the Expounder of Primitive Christianity, there's a name for you, wow, wrote about the recent invention of the four-function mechanical calculator, saying such machines by which the scholar may, by turning a crank, grind out the solution of a problem without the fatigue of mental application, would, by its introduction into schools, do incalculable injury. But who knows that such machines, when brought to greater perfection, may not think of a plan to remedy all their own defects and then grind out ideas beyond the ken of mortal mind. Yeah, so that's the idea of the singularity. Machines being smarter than we are. First expressed 1847. 1863, 4 years after Darwin published On the Origin of the Species, Samuel Butler published a letter captioned Darwin Among the Machines, compares human evolution to machine evolution, prophesizing half in jest that machines would eventually replace man in the supremacy of the earth. In the course of the ages, we shall find ourselves the inferior race. The letter raises many of the themes now being debated by proponents of the technological singularity. Now, you have already been exposed to Marcus Hutter's writing and PowerPoint about can intelligence explode? And so these next 9 slides are from him. I've lightened them up a little bit. So this is the further history. There are many well-known authors who have written about the singularity: Stanislaw Ulam, I.J. Good, Ray Solomonoff, Werner Vinge, well-known science fiction writer. And then Kurzweil has many books, 1999, 2005, 2012, and 2024. So the book, The Singularity is Nearer, is coming out this year. So that's his next book. Also, the philosopher David Chalmers has had significant impact, as has Marcus Hutter. Yeah, so this is Moore's Law. You kind of, just like you need to know about the technological singularity, you need to know about Moore's Law and be able to explain it. The curve of price performance of computing on an exponential scale is a straight line and predicts that in 2029, machines will be as smart as individual humans, and by 2045, as smart as the whole aggregate human race. And it looks like things are progressing faster than that. Some people predict that AGI, artificial general intelligence, will occur in the spring of 2026, so that's just 2 years from now, in a kind of weak form, and in an absolutely unequivocal form by 2030, which is 6 years from now. So somewhere 2 to 6 years from now. So the stuff of this course, it used to seem to the students taking the course that it's so far in the future that they might not really experience it. And now it's looking like you will all experience it. Yeah, so this course probably gives you some survival advantage. You've kind of thought through what to do when these various scenarios happen. So when the future happens, you'll be more prepared than your fellow humans. So that's another advantage of taking this course. So superintelligence by Moore's law, computing power doubles approximately every 1.5 years. It's been doing that for 50 years. Looks like that will continue for some period of time. And we'll have human level AI soon. These are other ways of looking at the pace at which technology develops. The hunter-gatherer age was a doubling every 250,000 years. And in the agricultural economy, doubling every 900 years. Industrial revolution, doubling every 15 years. Now, doubling every 1.5 years. And probably in the future, it will double like every few months. Yeah, so this is another way of looking at evolution with these 6 epochs. Is a singularity negotiable? Probably not. It's kind of like when you get near a black hole. In theory, you could get away, but actually you don't have the power to resist the pull of the black hole, right? So, sort of like that. We're probably beyond the point of no return. The singularity is already now unavoidable. Yeah, I don't think there's much point in spending a lot of time on this slide. I think most of us agree about that. Now you may wonder, when I first interacted with Marcus Hutter, whether he thought I was a little bit on the stupid side. And I think he did on this slide, because I kept coming back to him and asking him to explain the Library of Babel. I was asking him that because the students also didn't understand it. But it's really a pretty simple idea. Imagine a library that has all books. Not only all properly printed books, but all improperly printed books, all books that are just filled with nonsense and so on. The information content of such a library would be 0, because there's no way to find stuff, right? You can't tell where the books are that contain valid information versus, yeah, that's just, and, but I think if you get stuck on this slide, you can't understand it. Realize I also got stuck on it. Many other people do. So this is not on the exam. We're not going to ask you about something I can't understand myself on the exam. But it's interesting. Maybe some of you don't have any problem with this slide. You can immediately understand what he's talking about, and so that's good. So what about the singularity experienced by some people, not by others? So what would it look like, sound like? The thing you need to know for the exam is what it would sound like. So if you're on the outside, not experiencing the singularity, watching people on the inside who are experiencing it, their activity will sound like white noise to you. And Marcus Hutter's the only person to ever identify what the singularity would sound like. So strict intelligence singularity is neither experienced by the insiders nor by the outsiders. Life is greatly speeded up by the people going through it, but everything around them is equally speeded up, so they don't really notice it. On the other hand, insiders actively live potential societal changes, while outsiders only passively observe. Okay, so that slide set, as you know, goes on and on and on, but we're not going to go through the rest of the slides because they get to kind of a dysphoric end. And so now I'm going to talk about the second half of this presentation, which is raising your spirits and stimulating interest in the singularity through new holidays. Now, I don't know if you think the idea of a new holiday is exciting or that anyone could ever succeed with one, but it might amuse you. Let's just posit this, that, okay, Dr. Solez is giving this lecture, he's about to tell us about Future Day. So I would expect that, like, in the first Future Day, there were few people, and that every day, every subsequent Future Day, there were more, and now he's going to tell us that there are maybe millions of people celebrating Future Day, although that would be odd because I never heard of Future Day before. But actually, I'm telling you exactly the opposite. So this was Edmonton's first Future Day, March 1st, 2012, a small celebration. Let's see, there were 7 people there. Yeah. And that year, there were 16 celebrations around the world. These are the cities in which those celebrations occurred. And each year since then, there have been fewer. We're now down to kind of Sydney, Australia, and Edmonton. That's it. And if Sydney drops off, we'll be the only place in the world celebrating Future Day. Now, you could change all that, as you'll see, because, you know, if we create a giant splash that makes everybody around the world want to do what we're doing, then we can pick things up and suddenly all sorts of other people will start celebrating Future Day. Julie Lin Wong, who is a person that I met at Singularity University, she has this idea of the Art Gallery of Alberta, that unusually shaped building, being the site of our first ever Edmonton Salon. And probably you all know about the Paris Salon that brought together great artists and great thinkers, you know, and over many decades they got together in this Paris Salon and exchanged ideas and so on. And she was thinking, well, why couldn't Edmonton do that? Of course they could, and they could do that in this most unusual building, Art Gallery of Alberta. So the idea is to take over that building for an evening and have all, people from all different walks of life, great thinkers from Edmonton, right? Talking to each other, yeah. And so every year we talk about doing that, and I just changed the date. So the date used to say 2024, now it says 2025. So you have a year to figure out how we might do this. I think eventually this will happen, and there will be an Edmonton Salon, and you know, we'll make a deal with the Art Gallery of Alberta to do it. Yeah. But you can help us figure out what our plan should be for Future Day this year. What should we do on February 29th? I should tell you that Rich Sutton is not much of a believer in Future Day because, you know, it's a moving target, right? Like, you know, last year's future is sort of this year's present and stuff like that. Yeah. But anyway, there is the possibility of any of you or all of you or some sub-segment of this aggregate group making a tremendous difference and impacting other humans in a massively positive way, yeah. Now, when you think of how many people we're reaching with the course, it could be a lot more, right? When the TV show The Big Bang Theory was active, it was like the most popular show in Canada, and also popular elsewhere in the world. Regularly watched by 20 million people in the US. A specific episode on Singularity on October 1st, 2010. Here's some stills from that. And Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, was in that particular episode. Yeah, so if we're going to create a successful holiday, it has to have branding, visual identity, it has to be memorable. When somebody says to you, Future Day, and you're thinking of the food, the smells, the looks, the pageantry, all that kind of stuff, right? So to create that pageantry and food and smells and stuff. So there's like the Holy Festival, where they have these colored pigments, and it began with non-toxic pigments. But some of these colors are very, very hard to find non-toxic substances that are those colors. Whereas just getting paint of that color, often which contains toxic chemicals, is easy. So every year now with the Holly Festival, there's all sorts of respiratory disease and skin disease that people get from being exposed to these highly toxic, brightly colored substances. Yeah. But anyway, this is what it looks like. There are things like that a little bit in Canada called Color Me Red. Yeah, so that may not do it for you. Maybe you like this idea of the Crayola bomb. Maybe we should develop a bomb, a happiness weapon, a beauty bomb, and every time a crisis developed, yeah, let me start again. Maybe we should develop a Crayola bomb as our next secret weapon. A happiness weapon, a beauty bomb, and every time a crisis developed, we would launch one. Would explode high in the air, explode softly, send thousands, millions of little parachutes into the air, floating down to the earth, boxes of Crayolas. And we wouldn't go cheap either, boxes of 64 with a sharpener built right in with silver and gold and copper and magenta and peach and lime and amber and umber and all the rest. And people would smile and get a funny look on their faces and cover the world with imagination. Yeah, and if that doesn't inspire you, then what about the Roomba robotic vacuum cleaner as seen in a time-lapse photo? Wow, isn't that great? Yeah. And if you've got a lot of resources, you could do this. This is a hot air balloon festival. But there's also some danger associated with hot air balloon festivals because they can become meshed in high tension wires, right? And that's a bad scene when your balloon is caught in the high tension wire. You can't get off. But there needs to be songs, poetry. One that I thought of is the windmills of your mind, round like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel, never ending or beginning. On an ever-spinning reel, like a snowball down a mountain, or a carnival balloon, like a carousel that's turning, running rings around the moon. Like a clock whose hands are sweeping past the minutes of its face. The world is like an apple whirling silently in space, like the circles that you find in the windmills of your mind. Yeah. Now the other thing we've done, there's this relatively not very successful, Light the Bridge initiative. When you go over the high-level bridge, it's often a particular color. And when it's been sponsored by somebody, then there's a little notice when you start toward the high-level bridge of who the sponsor of the lights are. But most times there is no sponsor, so they pick some color at random. But anyway, we did that on March 1st, 2015. Our colors were orange and green, just like in the Edmonton Journal article about the course. Yeah, so I solicit your suggestions, would be greatly welcomed. How we can capture the imagination of the public and start everybody thinking about these matters. We need the mainstream public to regard the future technological singularity as fact, not fiction. We need to promote ordinary thinking about the future in the universities and beyond. Talk up our Light the Bridge success, discuss ways you would like to celebrate the singularity this year. This is the required last line. Marcus Sutter said, you're going to use my slides, you have to give the source. So yeah, so that's what we have done here. That is the last slide. Now you may wonder, yeah, this is 2024, we've been teaching the course now for a lot of years, and did I give you exactly the same presentation that other classes have gotten? And isn't that sort of lame? Well, actually I started doing something that I thought I should probably ask the class about this, because it's a bit weird. So I needed to renew my US passport, and you know, I can't do much in the world without my US passport. So I did renew it, and I didn't know very much about what the new passports look like. And the picture page is so amazing. It's like, first of all, it looks like that page would last for 1,000 years. I mean, it is robust, you know? Like if the rest of us die, there's no sign of human civilization. These picture pages are all that will remain. 1,000 years from now, get all the picture pages for people's US passports. And you can see they've got squiggles over my image here and so on. I'm actually wearing a shirt that has its own squiggles. So when you look at this image, you see the squiggles that were originally on my shirt, and up here I've been completely squiggleized. It's different. It's just the coolest thing ever. And I thought of writing a poem about my reaction to the technology embedded in my new US passport. But I thought, why don't I ask you guys, would you like such a poem to be written? Or does that seem to you like, nah, you don't need to do that, Dr. Solez. That's like the worst idea you ever had.
I think it's creative.
So you would like it, eh? You would, okay.
I
good.
think it'd be fun. I think it'd be so
Okay.
fun.
Okay, so I will write a poem then about my reaction to the high-tech aspects of my US passport and how I believe it will outlast us all by 1,000 years, that picture page is just indestructible. Nothing known to mankind can cause it to cease to exist. Okay, so all right, this is then the end of the second lecture in the course. And we've got, of course, lots of time left. Yeah, we got like 36 minutes. You know, we don't have to fill all those 36 minutes, but we have them. So, last time when I asked for questions, there weren't any. eventually somebody's gotta have a question, or this is not a valid class, you know. Yeah, so do you have any comments, questions, any utterance you wish to make? Remember that in like 2017, there were relatively few students taking the course, but they all had this idea of giving these mini lectures. So at home, they would like prepare their mini lecture in front of the mirror. They come in and just wait to raise their hand and give the mini lecture, and then watch their mini lecture on, yeah. So when the class has nothing to say at the end, then yeah, you're missing that huge opportunity of self-promotion and, yeah. Yes?
For a future day, for February 29th, I know how we're looking to get more students interested in the course and take it in fall semester. So what if we almost did like a showcase day where we invited other students to come in and see what the course is like, what we kind of focus on?
Yeah. No, I think that would be good, and it also means that for Rich Sutton's lecture, there would be more people here, which makes sense, because he's like the most famous person teaching in the course. So yeah, no, that sounds good, and I'll even let Rich know that we're thinking about doing that. And yeah, so like if he wants, he can get you know, computing science people to come. Yeah. That would be fine. Yeah, well that's a good idea. Any other suggestions?
Just to add on to that, I know there's an artificial intelligence like medical undergraduate club, so I'm sure they would be interested because they host these sort of presentations sometimes. So I'm sure they'd like to add that to their schedule.
Yeah, so how can we interact with them?
I know a few people, so I can
Why
don't
you
they'd be interested
see what they, yeah, no, I would love to have interaction with them. Yeah, so any other thoughts? Thanks to the videographer for her hard work.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
You know, when I was trying to figure out how to like move it, I thought that this like I can move. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought this can move like all around, and I figured out that I don't think you can. So I realized towards the end. So you'll notice that like there's a little shake because I was trying to figure out how to like move it. So like I realized towards the end that I'm not supposed to lift the whole thing and move it unless you are supposed to move this all around, which I don't think you can.
No, you can. So
okay.
the way those tripods are made, every junction point can be loosened so it can be moved, or tightened so it can't be moved. So it's like many other things in your life. It's under your complete control. Like if you loosen everything, the whole thing will just clap. Yeah. But if you just loosen the one thing that you want to move, then you can move it. Yeah, and there's those little bubble level sensors that tell you when things are straight. And yeah.
Right. Okay.
Actually, you can get endlessly fascinated with the technology of a tripod. Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'll have to do some practice then for the next time so that I know what I'm doing. But it was a great practice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Great. Okay. Very good. Well, I think you can probably safely turn it off now.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
So this is your big moment.